Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The prey's footprints ended at a shattered window 40 stories up. Alina traced her crystalline armored fingers along the jagged glass, her silver-blue skin reflecting in the fragments. A normal hunter would have lost the trail here. But she wasn't normal. She was Farian, and her prey wasn't escaping. Her amber eyes pierced the darkness of the abandoned high-rise, detecting the faintest heat signatures and energy disturbances. The trail led higher, always higher. Most humans fled downward when chased, seeking the comfort of earth and tunnels. This one ascended as if daring her to follow. The glowing bowstring at her back hummed in anticipation. 3 days she'd tracked this prey across the ruins of what humans once called New Shanghai. 3 days of following a ghost who seemed to anticipate her every move. No ordinary survivor could evade a Farian hunter this long. Alina launched herself through the broken window, her enhanced muscles propelling her upward with inhuman grace. The crystalline plates of her armor clinked softly as she landed in what had once been a luxury apartment. Now it was just another tomb in humanity's graveyard. Clever, a deep voice echoed from somewhere above, but not clever enough. She froze. Prey didn't talk to hunters. Prey ran. "Show yourself," she commanded, unslinging her bow. The crystal weapon pulsed with stored energy, casting eerie shadows across the decay. A dark chuckle resonated through the building's skeleton. "Why? So you can add me to your collection? I think not." The voice carried no fear, only amusement, something coiled in Alina's stomach. Not hunger, not the usual thrill of the hunt, something else. "You can't escape," she said, tracking the voice's origin. "No one escapes a Farian." "Is that what they taught you in hunter school?" The voice was closer now. "That you're apex predators? Unstoppable forces of nature?" A shadow detached itself from a pillar 20 feet away. The man who stepped into the dim light made Alina's breath catch. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing battered combat armor that had seen better decades. But it was his eyes that held her, steel gray and ancient, filled with a cold intelligence that cut straight through her. "Dante Raven," she whispered, recognition flooding her system. The legendary ash hunter. The man who had single-handedly destroyed 3 Farian hunting parties during the war. "Ah!" His lips curved into a predatory smile. "So my reputation precedes me. And you are?" "Your executioner." Alina drew back her bowstring, energy crackling along the crystal shaft. Dante didn't flinch. If anything, his smile widened. Interesting choice of words. He took a step forward, then another. "Tell me, little hunter, did your masters mention why they want me dead?" "Your prey. That's all I need to know." "Is it?" Another step. The bow was pointed at his chest now. "Look around you, Farian. Notice anything strange about this floor?" Alina's instincts screamed danger, but pride kept her rooted. "You're stalling." "I'm teaching. There's a difference." His eyes flickered to something behind her. Lesson 1. Always check your surroundings. She heard the click too late. The floor beneath her feet hummed with activated tech. Before she could leap away, energy fields erupted around her, forming a cage of crackling blue light. "Lesson 2, Dante said, approaching the barrier. "Never underestimate human ingenuity." Alina snarled, striking the energy field with her bow. The barrier absorbed the impact, sending feedback that made her stumble. "Careful." Dante circled her prison, his movements liquid and predatory. "That's military-grade containment tech. The more you fight it, the stronger it gets." "Kill me then," she spat. "Finish it." He stopped directly in front of her, close enough that she could see the scars crossing his face. "Now why would I do that?" His voice dropped lower, almost intimate. "When you're so much more valuable alive." The way he looked at her, not as prey, not as a monster, but as something else entirely, sent an unfamiliar shiver down her spine. "I've been watching you track me," he continued, reaching out to trace the energy barrier near her face. "Your technique is flawless, your dedication, admirable, but you have one fatal flaw. And what's that? You think like a hunter," his eyes locked with hers, "when you should be thinking like a survivor." Before she could respond, he pressed something on his wrist computer. The energy field collapsed, but instead of attacking, Eilina found herself frozen in place, her muscles refusing to obey. "Neurotransmitter disruptor," Dante explained, closing the distance between them. "Don't worry, it's temporary, just long enough for us to have a civilized conversation." He reached out, brushing a strand of gold-streaked hair from her face. The casual intimacy of the gesture made her burn with rage and something else she couldn't name. "You're going to tell me everything you know about why the Farian Council wants me," he said softly. "And then, if I'm feeling generous, I might let you live." "I'll tell you nothing," she growled. "Oh, but you will." His fingers traced the line of her jaw, a mockery of tenderness. "Because, deep down, you know something's wrong with your people's mission. You felt it, haven't you? The doubt, the questions you're not supposed to ask." Eilina wanted to deny it, but the words stuck in her throat, because he was right. She had questioned, had wondered why this particular human was so important. "Think on it," Dante said, stepping back. "I'll return when the paralysis wears off. Try not to miss me too much." He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing in the empty building. Eilina watched him go, hatred and fascination warring in her chest. In all her years of hunting, she'd never encountered prey like this, someone who turned the hunt itself into a game of his own making. As feeling slowly returned to her limbs, one thought burned in her mind. Dante Raven wasn't prey at all. He was something far more dangerous. The paralysis wore off gradually, starting from her fingertips and working inward. Eilina flexed her hands, testing the returning sensation. Her enhanced healing was already fighting the effects of Dante's technology, but the humiliation, that would take longer to fade. A distant explosion rocked the building, then another, closer. Through the broken windows, she saw flares of purple light illuminating the night sky, her people's weapons. "Looks like your friends have arrived." Dante's voice carried from somewhere above, right on schedule. She whirled toward the sound, bow already drawn. "What do you mean, schedule? Come now." His voice echoed, impossible to pinpoint. "You didn't think you were the only one hunting me, did you? The council sent 3 teams. You're just the one who got closest." More explosions lit the darkness. Closer now. Alina could hear the distinctive whine of Farian hoverbikes. "Why are you still here?" she demanded. "You had your chance to escape." A shadow moved at the edge of her vision. "Maybe I'm curious to see what you'll do next." "I'll kill you. That's what I'll do." "Will you?" He emerged from behind a pillar, seemingly unconcerned by her drawn bow. "Even knowing your council is lying to you? That they're sending hunters to their deaths for a purpose they don't understand?" Before she could respond, the building trembled. The sound of breaking glass and heavy footsteps echoed from below. "Time to choose, little hunter," Dante said, his gray eyes boring into hers. "Stay here, wait for your team, tell them you failed, or—" He gestured to a maintenance door leading to the roof. "Come with me and learn why they really want me dead." "Why should I trust you?" "Because unlike your masters, I haven't lied to you yet." He turned toward the door. "But decide quickly. Your fellow hunters aren't known for their patience." The footsteps were getting closer. Through the floor, Eilina felt the vibrations of multiple Farians ascending. She knew these hunters had trained with them. They would show no mercy to a failed hunter. "Tick-tock," Dante called softly, already halfway to the door. Elena looked at her bow, then at the stairwell where her people would emerge any second. Everything she'd been taught screamed at her to stay, to complete her mission. But Dante's words echoed in her mind, "Think like a survivor." The door to the stairwell burst open. 3 Farian hunters emerged, their crystalline armor glowing with combat energy. The lead hunter, Crix, she recognized him, raised his weapon. "Traitor!" he snarled. Elena made her choice. She spun and loosed 3 arrows in rapid succession, not at the hunters but at the already weakened floor beneath them. The crystal-tipped projectiles exploded on impact, sending her former comrades plummeting through collapsing concrete. "Interesting choice," Dante remarked as she sprinted to join him. "Shut up and run." They burst onto the roof together as more explosions rocked the building. The night air was thick with hoverbikes, their searchlights sweeping the darkness. 40 stories below, the ruined city stretched to the horizon. "Now what, clever human?" she asked. Dante's smile was pure predator. "Now." He grabbed her arm, pulling her close. "We jump." "Are you insane?" "Frequently." His other hand pressed something on his belt. "But I'm also prepared." The roof behind them exploded as more hunters emerged. Energy weapons filled the air with deadly light. Dante wrapped an arm around Elena's waist and stepped backward off the building, pulling her with him. They fell. Wind rushed past them as the ground hurtled upward. Elena wanted to scream but couldn't find the breath. Then Dante's belt hummed, and energy fields blossomed around them both. Their fall slowed, became controlled. They landed in an alley, the energy fields cushioning their impact. Above them, hoverbikes roared past, searching in the wrong direction. That was... Elena struggled for words. Exciting? Terrifying? Brilliantly executed? Reckless. "Ah." He released her but stayed close. "You'll find that's a common theme with me." She should kill him now while his guard was down. Complete her mission. Instead, she asked, "Where do we go from here?" "First, we find transport. Then..." His eyes gleamed with something between mischief and danger. "Then I show you why your people are so desperate to find me. Ready for another lesson, little hunter?" Against her better judgment, Elena nodded. She had crossed a line tonight, become prey herself in the eyes of her people. Whatever Dante's game was, she was committed now. "Lead the way." His laugh echoed off the alley walls as they melted into the ruins, leaving the sound of hoverbikes and hunting calls behind. The hunt had changed, Elena realized. She just wasn't sure anymore who was the hunter and who was the prey. They moved through the ruins like shadows, Dante leading them through passages and shortcuts that shouldn't exist. Every time Elena thought she had him figured out, he surprised her. A human shouldn't know these hunting grounds better than a Farian. "Here." He stopped at what looked like a solid wall, running his hands along the surface until something clicked. A hidden door slid open, revealing a maintenance tunnel. "Ladies first." "Age before beauty," she countered. His laugh was unexpected, deep and genuine. "Careful, little hunter. I might start thinking you have a sense of humor." Inside, the tunnel was pitch black, but Elena's enhanced vision pierced the darkness easily. The space was cramped, forcing them to walk close together. She could feel the heat radiating from his body, smell the mix of leather and metal from his armor. "You've been watching me longer than 3 days," she said, breaking the silence. "Much longer." "Why?" "Because you're different." His voice echoed softly off the tunnel walls. "You question things. The others just follow orders blindly. You don't know me." "Don't I?" He stopped, turning to face her in the darkness. "You've had 6 opportunities to kill me since we met. Clean shots, guaranteed hits, but you hesitated each time." She bristled. "I didn't." "You did." His eyes seemed to glow in the dark. "Because somewhere deep down, you know something's wrong with your people's mission. with their entire purpose. A distant rumble interrupted them. The tunnel shook, dust raining down. They're using seismic charges, Alina realized. They're trying to flush us out. Then we should keep moving. Dante pressed forward. The transport's not far. The tunnel opened into what had once been a subway station. Ancient trains lay rusted on their tracks, but one corner of the platform had been converted into something else entirely. A sleek vehicle sat there, all black metal and curved lines, nothing like the utilitarian machines her people used. Is that modified Ash Hunter assault vehicle? Dante approached it, touching a panel that made the vehicle hum to life. One of the last. How did you keep this hidden from our scanners? The same way I've stayed alive this long. He opened the door, gesturing for her to enter. I understand technology better than those who created it. The interior was surprisingly spacious, filled with screens and equipment she didn't recognize. Dante slid into the pilot's seat, his hands moving across the controls with practiced ease. You should know, he said as the vehicle lifted silently off the ground. Once we leave this zone, there's no going back. Your people will mark you for death. They already have. She watched him navigate through the underground tunnels. But you knew that would happen. You wanted me to choose sides. I wanted you to think for yourself. The vehicle emerged from the tunnels into the ruins of what had once been a highway. Everything else was your choice. More explosions lit up the sky behind them. Hover bikes appeared in the distance, their weapons charging. Hold on, Dante said, his voice taking on that dangerous edge she was starting to recognize. This might get interesting. The vehicle surged forward with impossible speed. Alina grabbed her seat as they wove through the ruins, energy bolts streaking past them. Dante handled the machine like it was part of him, making maneuvers that should have torn them apart. They're not trying to kill us, she realized, watching the pattern of attacks. They're hurting us. Very good. He smiled that predator's smile again. Now watch this. He hit something on the console. The vehicle's energy signature suddenly multiplied, creating dozens of ghost images on the hunter's trackers. Their pursuers scattered, firing at phantoms. That won't fool them for long, she warned. It doesn't need to. The vehicle shot upward, breaking through a collapsed section of highway into open air. For a moment, they hung suspended above the ruined city. Alina saw the hunting parties below them, the pattern of their search. They really were being herded toward something in the distance. See that? Dante pointed to a massive structure on the horizon. A pyramid of black metal rose from the ruins, its surface absorbing what little light reached it. That's where your council really wants me to go. That's what this hunt is really about. What is it? The answer to why your people are dying. He looked at her, all trace of amusement gone. And why they need me to save them. The vehicle plunged back into the ruins, leaving the hunters behind. We need to stop, Dante announced, guiding the vehicle into what remained of an underground parking structure. The stabilizers took damage during that last maneuver. Alina watched him power down the systems, trying to ignore how the confined space made his presence feel overwhelming. How long? A few hours. Maybe till dawn. He glanced at her, those steel-gray eyes glinting in the darkness. Nervous about being trapped with your prey, little hunter? You're not prey, she said before she could stop herself. His smile was dangerous. No, I'm not. The maintenance area was cramped, barely large enough for two. Emergency lights cast everything in shades of blue, making Dante's scars look like silver threads across his skin. He worked on the vehicle's systems with methodical precision until a wrong movement made him wince. You're injured, Alina said, noticing the dark stain spreading on his side. Energy bolt. Grazed me during the escape. He didn't pause in his work. It's nothing. Let me. She found herself moving closer, medical kit in hand. Your human healing is too slow. He raised an eyebrow but didn't stop her when she pushed aside his torn shirt. The wound wasn't deep, but it needed attention. As she cleaned it, she became acutely aware of his heat, his scent, the steady rhythm of his breathing. Your hands are shaking, he observed softly. They're not. But they were, and she didn't understand why. Every instinct should have been screaming danger. Instead, his hand caught hers, calloused fingers wrapping around her wrist. What are you really afraid of, little hunter? I'm not afraid of you. No? He pulled her closer, his other hand sliding into her hair. Then why is your heart racing? She should have killed him, should have completed her mission. Instead, she found herself pressing closer, drawn to him like gravity. This is insane, she whispered against his mouth. Insanity, he murmured, is just another word for freedom. The kiss was electric, violent, inevitable. His hands burned against her skin as armor fell away. She couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't remember why this was wrong. All she knew was the heat of him, the strength, the way he handled her like she was both precious and dangerous. They came together like a storm, like colliding stars, like everything her people had warned her against. But in that moment, with his hands mapping her skin and his voice rough in her ear, none of it mattered. Dawn found them tangled together in the darkness, the air heavy with aftermath. Alina watched him sleep, trying to understand the chaos in her chest. This wasn't supposed to happen. He was human. She was Farian. They were enemies. So why did it feel like coming home? Stop thinking so loud, Dante murmured without opening his eyes. His hand traced lazy patterns on her back. What's done is done. This was a mistake. Was it? Now he did look at her, those gray eyes intense. Or was it exactly what was supposed to happen? Before she could answer, the vehicle's sensors pinged, multiple signatures approaching. Time to move, Dante said, already reaching for his weapons. The predator was back, all business now, but his touch lingered when he helped her up, and something had fundamentally shifted between them. They dressed quickly and returned to the vehicle. As they emerged from the parking structure, the Black Pyramid loomed on the horizon, a monument to secrets neither of them yet understood. They drove in silence for a while, the vehicle gliding through the ruins like a ghost. Alina watched Dante's hands on the controls, remembering how those same hands had touched her face earlier. Such casual intimacy from prey should have disgusted her. Instead, "You're staring, little hunter," Dante said without looking at her. "Wondering about my story?" "Among other things." His lips curved slightly. "Which would you like to hear first? How I became the monster your people fear, or how your world really ended?" Before she could answer, the vehicle's sensors pinged. Dante smoothly guided them into the hollow shell of an ancient shopping complex, powering down to near silence. Through the viewport, Alina saw a patrol of hoverbikes pass overhead. "The great evacuation wasn't what they told you," Dante said softly, his eyes distant. "I was there, at the end, when the ships left, when humanity abandoned Earth." 20 years earlier, the sky burned. Massive evacuation ships blocked out the sun as they rose into the atmosphere, leaving millions behind. Dante stood at the command center of Defense Station Alpha, watching the monitors as city after city went dark. "Sir," his second-in-command approached, "the Council's orders are suicide," Dante finished. On the screens, he could see the first Farian hunting parties being released. Their original purpose, to protect humanity, twisted into something darker. "They're turning our own weapons against us. Then we evacuate with the others." "No." Dante's voice was iron. "We stay. We fight. We save who we can." "They created us to be perfect," Alina said, pulling him back to the present. To save humanity from itself. Dante reached over, his fingers trailing along her crystalline armor. Is that what perfection looks like? A dying race that has to hunt its creators to survive? She caught his wrist, but didn't push him away. We're not dying. No? His other hand moved to her face, thumb tracing the silvery markings on her blue skin. Then why do your people need my genetic code so badly? Why send their best hunter after a single human? Alina's breath caught as he leaned closer. His scent, leather, metal, something uniquely human, filled her senses. You're playing with fire, human. I've been burning for a long time. His voice dropped lower, almost a purr. The question is, little hunter, are you ready to burn with me? Another memory hit him, sharp and clear. 15 years earlier, the Ash Hunters were legendary, elite human warriors who turned the Farians' own tactics against them. Dante led the best team ever assembled, until the mission that broke them. It's a trap, Sarah, his tactical officer, warned. The intel's wrong. The intel's always wrong, Dante replied, checking his weapons. That's why they send us. But this time was different. The trap wasn't for them. It was for the 10,000 civilians in the underground shelter. His team could escape, or they could stay and buy time for the evacuation. Dante made the call. His team died heroes. The civilians escaped, and something in him changed forever. You're dangerous, Alina whispered, still not pushing him away. Very. His lips brushed her ear. But then, so are you. The vehicle's sensors pinged again, multiple signatures approaching. Dante pulled back, his expression shifting from seductive to predatory in an instant. Time to move. The real hunt's about to begin. The pyramid? The truth. He powered up the engines. About why Earth really fell. About what your council is hiding. About why they need not just my genes but me. They shot out of the building just as energy bolts streaked past. Dante's piloting was pure art. Every move precise, calculated, yet seemingly effortless. Last chance to walk away, he said as they raced toward the dark pyramid. Stay with what you know, what you've been taught. Alina looked at him. This human who moved like a predator, who played with fire and death like old friends, who touched her with both mockery and fascination. She thought of all the questions she'd never dared ask, all the doubts she'd buried. I stay, she said. I need to know the truth. His smile was both beautiful and terrible. Then hold on tight, little hunter. The real game is about to begin. The vehicle surged forward, crossing the final distance to the pyramid. Behind them, the hunting parties converged. Above them, the ruined sky held secrets of a world torn apart. And ahead lay answers, truth, and maybe, though neither would admit it yet, something more. The black pyramid swallowed them whole. Dante guided their vehicle through a breach in its ancient surface, entering a maze of corridors that seemed to absorb all light. Even Alina's enhanced vision struggled to pierce the darkness. Home, sweet home, Dante murmured, powering down the engines. At least for now. The vehicle settled in what appeared to be a vast hangar, filled with shadows of machinery Alina didn't recognize. As they exited, Dante's hand found the small of her back, a gesture both possessive and protective that sent an unwanted shiver through her. Your sanctuary? She asked, trying to focus on anything but his touch. My prison, once. He moved through the darkness with practiced ease. During the war, this was a research facility, the place where your people were born. Alina froze. That's impossible. The creation centers were all destroyed. Is that what they told you? His laugh held no humor. Your council does love their convenient truths. He led her deeper into the facility, past rows of empty stasis chambers and dead monitoring stations. The air felt thick with secrets, with memories better left buried. "Rest," he said, gesturing to what looked like living quarters. "You'll need it. The hunters will find us eventually." "You're not worried?" "Worry is for those who haven't accepted their fate." He turned those steel-gray eyes on her. "Besides, I have something they want. That makes me dangerous." "And what am I?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. Dante stepped closer, backing her against a wall. His presence surrounded her, overwhelming her senses. "You?" His fingers traced the line of her jaw. "You're the wild card they never expected." Before she could respond, alarms blared through the facility. Dante's expression shifted from predatory to alert in an instant. "Company already?" He checked his weapons. "Faster than I expected." "They're not alone," Ilena said, hearing the distinctive sound of hoverbikes. "They brought harvesters." Dante's smile turned feral. "Then let's give them a proper welcome." The battle that followed was pure chaos. Farian hunters poured into the facility, their crystalline armor gleaming in the emergency lights. But Dante moved like death itself. Every shot found its mark. Every movement flowed into the next with lethal grace. He didn't just fight. He conducted a symphony of destruction, using the facility's ancient defenses like extensions of his will. Ilena found herself watching him even as she fought, mesmerized by his deadly efficiency. This wasn't just skill or training. This was art. A memory flickered at the edge of her consciousness. Something about his movement seemed familiar. Many years ago, the human child shouldn't have survived. He was small, weak, cornered by hunters twice his size. But there was something in his eyes, a defiance that made young Ilena pause. "Kill it," her trainer ordered. "Prove your worth." But she couldn't. Not when those gray eyes held such fire. Instead, she missed her shot, allowing him to escape into the ruins. Her punishment was severe, but sometimes, in her dreams, she still saw those eyes. "Down!" Dante's voice snapped her back to reality just as he tackled her, energy bolts searing the air where she'd stood. They rolled together, his body shielding hers as debris rained around them. "Getting distracted, little hunter?" His breath was warm against her ear. "You?" The memory crystallized. "I know you. From before." A massive explosion rocked the facility before he could respond. 3 harvesters, huge, heavily armored Farian elite, crashed through the ceiling. "Talk later," Dante growled, pulling her to her feet. "Run now." They sprinted through the facility's corridors, the harvesters' heavy footsteps echoing behind them. Dante led them deeper, past laboratories filled with equipment she recognized from her childhood training. "Here." He pulled her into what looked like a medical bay. "We're trapped," she hissed. "No." His smile held secrets. "We're exactly where we need to be." The harvesters burst through the door, their massive forms filling the space. The leader, twice Dante's size, stepped forward. "Surrender the human," it rumbled. "The council demands his genes." Funny thing about demands. Dante's voice was casual, almost lazy. They only work if you have leverage. He pressed something on a nearby console. Holographic screens flickered to life, filling the room with data streams. "Project Genesis," he said. "The true history of your people. Why you were created. Why you're dying. And—" his eyes met Ilena's. "Why that little girl couldn't kill me 20 years ago." The harvesters raised their weapons, but Dante just laughed. "Go ahead, shoot. Destroy the only person who can save your species. Because that's what this is really about, isn't it? Not just my genes, but my knowledge, my memories of what really happened here." "You lie," the lead harvester snarled. "Do I?" Dante's hand found Ilena's arm. Tell them what you remembered, little hunter. Tell them about the boy you couldn't kill, the one with gray eyes who moved like death. Alina's world tilted. The memory expanded, became clearer. You were different, she whispered. Even then, you didn't run like prey. You moved like one of you, Dante finished. Because I was the template, the original human they used to create the Farian genetic code. The revelation hit like a physical blow. The harvesters stepped back, their certainty shaken. Impossible, one growled. Nothing's impossible. Dante's voice held ancient wisdom. In war, in love, in the spaces between species, impossibility is just another word for fear. He moved then, faster than even Farian eyes could track. The first harvester fell before it could react. Its own weapon turned against it. The second managed to fire, but Dante was already gone, appearing behind it like a ghost. The fight was beautiful, terrifying. Every movement precise, each strike calculated. He didn't just defeat them. He dismantled them, using their own enhanced abilities against them. When it was over, when the last harvester lay broken, Dante turned to Alina. Blood ran from a cut above his eye, but his smile was unchanged. Now you understand, he said softly. Why they hunt me. Why you couldn't kill me then. Why you can't kill me now. Alina stared at the fallen harvesters, then back at Dante. Blood from his wound traced a path down his face, but he seemed unconcerned, as if taking down 3 elite Farian warriors was just another day's work. The template, she repeated, but that would mean that your entire species carries my genetic markers? He moved closer, that predatory grace never faltering. That's why your people are dying. The original code is degrading. They need the source to stabilize it. And the boy I saw. Her hand reached up, almost of its own accord, to touch the blood on his face. That was you? His fingers wrapped around her wrist, but he didn't pull her hand away. The first successful test subject. They tried to create more like me, but none survived the process. So they created your people instead. A diluted version, but still effective. More alarms blared through the facility. Distant explosions shook the walls. They're coming in force now, Dante said, still holding her wrist. Your council won't stop until they have what they want. What do they want? Really? His thumb traced patterns on her pulse point, sending shivers through her enhanced nervous system. To restart the program, to create more like me, pure human Farian hybrids. Is that possible? With the right genetic combination? His eyes held something dangerous. We're about to find out. Before she could process his meaning, pain shot through her abdomen. She doubled over, her enhanced senses suddenly overwhelming. Ah, Dante said softly. Right on schedule. What's happening to me? He caught her as her knees buckled, lifting her easily onto one of the medical beds. His touch was gentler now, almost tender. Your body's changing, he explained, activating medical scanners. Responding to genetic markers it recognizes from your childhood encounter with me. Add in our recent proximity. The scanner's results appeared on the holographic display. Alina's eyes widened as she read the data. Impossible, she whispered. Nothing's impossible, remember. He brushed hair from her face. Congratulations, little hunter. You're carrying the first true hybrid in 20 years. The facility shook again. Through the pain, Alina heard the sound of multiple hunter teams approaching. They'll kill us both, she said. No. Dante's voice turned hard. They'll try. He moved to the medical console, his fingers flying over the controls. Your blood could save humanity, he said without looking at her. But extracting it would kill you both. That's what they'll try to do when they find us. Both? You and the child. Now he did look at her, and his eyes held something she'd never seen before. Something that made her enhanced heart skip. "I won't let that happen." "Why?" She had to know. "Because I saved you once? Because I'm carrying your child?" Dante came back to her side, his movement liquid grace even now. "Because some years ago, a little Farian girl looked at me and saw something worth saving. Today, I'm returning the favor." He leaned down, his lips brushing her ear. "Besides," he whispered, "I've been waiting a long time to find you again." The facility's defenses activated around them, creating a fortress within a fortress. Outside, she could hear the hunters approaching. But for the first time since this hunt began, Ailina felt no fear. Because Dante Raven, the legend, the monster, the template of her species, looked at her like she was something precious. And his hands, capable of such destruction, held her like she might break. "Rest," he said, stepping back. "Save your strength. I'll handle our guests." "Dante," she caught his arm, "when this is over—" His smile was pure predator, but his eyes were soft. "When this is over, little hunter, we're going to rewrite everything they think they know about impossible things." He moved toward the door, weapons ready, every line of his body coiled deadly grace. Ailina watched him go, one hand pressed to her abdomen where new life grew, life that shouldn't exist, but did, just like the impossible man who had created it. The medical bay transformed into a battleground. Wave after wave of hunters crashed against Dante's defenses, only to be broken. He moved like a force of nature, each action precise and devastating. Through her pain, Ailina watched him work. This was what the legend spoke of, the ash hunter who could take down entire squadrons alone. But they never mentioned how beautiful it was, how each movement flowed into the next like deadly poetry. "Your council made a mistake," he called out between attacks, his voice carrying easily over the chaos. "They thought they could control what they created. A hunter got too close." Dante's response was brutal and efficient. "They thought they could improve on nature." Another attacker fell. "Play gods with genetic code." Two more dropped. But they forgot one simple truth, which is— Ailina managed through clenched teeth as another wave of pain hit her. Dante appeared at her side as if he'd teleported, his hand finding hers. Evolution always finds a way. The facility's screens flickered with new data. Her enhanced vision caught fragments, genetic sequences, mutation paths, survival rates. The truth of her people's creation laid bare in cold statistics. "They're dying," she realized. "All of us. The genetic code is—" "breaking down," Dante finished. "Each generation more unstable than the last, except—" His free hand moved to her abdomen, where their impossible child grew. "This one carries pure markers from both bloodlines, stable, perfect. They'll never stop hunting us. No." His smile was dangerous. "That's why we're going to end this, tonight." He turned back to the console, inputting a complex sequence. The facility hummed with awakening power. "What are you doing?" "Giving them what they want." The screens filled with data, the complete genetic history of both their species. All of it, every test, every failure, every success, including— He gestured to her abdomen, the proof that their precious purity was always a lie. The facility's communication systems activated, broadcasting to every Farian frequency. The truth of their origin, their purpose, their future, all of it streaming to every hunter and council member within range. "They'll tear themselves apart," Ailina said, understanding dawning. Or— Dante's eyes held that dangerous light she was starting to love. "They'll evolve, choose a new path, like you did." Another explosion rocked the facility. Through the smoke, she saw hunters retreating, confusion replacing bloodlust as the truth reached them. Time to go, Dante said, lifting her easily into his arms. This place has served its purpose. Where? Somewhere they'll never think to look. He moved through the chaos like a ghost, deadly and graceful. Sometimes the best hiding place is right in the open. They reached his vehicle just as the facility began to collapse. As they shot into the night sky, Ailina saw hunters scattered below, their formations broken, their purpose shattered by truth. "You planned this," she said. "All of it, not all." His hand found hers again. "You were the variable I never expected. The little hunter who saved a boy 20 years ago, changing everything." The ruined city fell away behind them. Above, stars pierced the eternal smog for the first time in decades. "What now?" she asked. Dante's smile was both terrible and beautiful. "Now, little hunter, we write our own story, one impossible thing at a time." Their child moved within her, strong and sure. A new kind of hunter, a new kind of human, a bridge between two dying species. The hunt was over. Something else, something wonderful and terrifying was just beginning. The Farian High Council's fortress rose from the wasteland like a crystalline serpent, beautiful, deadly, and cold. From their vantage point in the hills, Dante and Ailina watched patrol ships circle its spires. "The heart of everything," Ailina said, one hand resting on her swollen abdomen. Their child grew faster than either species, another sign of its unique nature. "You really mean to attack it?" "Attack?" Dante's laugh was dark velvet. "No, little hunter, I mean to end it." He stood, moonlight gleaming off his modified armor. 3 months of running, of building allies among both species, had led to this moment. The truth they'd broadcast had fractured the Farian power structure, but the Council still clung to control through fear and force. "They're expecting us," she warned. "Of course they are." His smile held death. "That's what makes it interesting." Behind them, a mixed force of rebel Farians and human survivors waited in the shadows, all drawn to Dante's impossible mission, to the hope he represented. "Remember," he touched her face, his calloused fingers gentle against her blue skin. "No matter what happens in there." "Don't you dare," she growled. "No heroic last words." His laugh echoed across the wasteland, "As my lady commands." The attack began with characteristic Dante precision. EMP charges disabled the outer defenses while rebel ships engaged the patrols. But it was Dante himself who led the ground assault, moving through enemy forces like a demon of old myths. Ailina followed, her enhanced abilities amplified by pregnancy rather than hindered. Together, they carved a path through the Council's elite guards. Each movement synchronized, each strike coordinated. Predator and prey become something new, something deadly. They reached the central chamber just as the Council activated their final defense. Energy fields separated them, trapping Dante in with the Council while Ailina watched from outside. "The prodigal template returns," first speaker Molly's voice dripped contempt. "With his mongrel mate and abomination child." Dante's only response was to check his weapons with casual grace. "You know, I expected better insults from the supposed pinnacle of evolution. You mock what you don't understand." Molly gestured and screens lit up around them. "We created perfection. Your emotional attachment to this hunter, this breeding, it corrupts everything we built." "Perfection?" Now Dante's laugh held real anger. "You built slaves, weapons. Then you threw away the key to their salvation because it didn't fit your vision of purity. The boy we tested was weak, emotional, imperfect. The boy survived." Dante's voice turned to steel. "The boy learned. The boy became the nightmare that haunts your dreams." He moved then, faster than even Farian eyes could track. 2 council members fell before anyone could react. But Molly was ready, activating hidden defenses that filled the chamber with energy bolts. Dante danced through them like they were raindrops, each movement precise, calculated, beautiful in its lethality. This was the legend at his peak, the ash hunter who could take down armies. "You forget," he said between strikes, "who trained your first hunters, who showed them how to move, how to kill, how to survive." "We improved the design," Molly snarled, backing away. "No." Dante's smile was terrible. "You diluted it, made it safer, controllable. But now—" He glanced at Aelina, at the child she carried. "Now, evolution's taking back control." The chamber erupted in chaos. Council members fought desperately, but Dante was unstoppable, until Molly played her final card. "Kill her!" she commanded, and hidden weapons turned on Aelina. Dante's hesitation was microscopic, but enough. Energy bolts slammed into him from all sides. He dropped to one knee, blood seeping through his armor. "You see?" Molly approached him, triumphant. "Emotion makes you weak. Love makes you vulnerable. That's why we bred it out of our hunters." "No." Dante looked up, his gray eyes burning. "Love makes us stronger." The energy field holding Aelina shattered, not from outside force, but from within. She stepped through, her body glowing with power their child had unlocked. "Impossible," Molly whispered. "You really need a new word," Dante said, rising. Blood ran freely now, but his smile never wavered. "Ready, little hunter?" Aelina's answer was action. She moved like lightning, her enhanced abilities multiplied by maternal instinct and rage. Dante matched her pace for pace, their combined assault overwhelming the council's defenses. The fight was beautiful, terrible, legendary. Two apex predators dancing death through the heart of power. When it ended, Molly alone remained, backed against her precious screens. "Kill me then," she spat. "Prove you're the monster we always feared." Dante stepped forward, every movement liquid grace despite his wounds. "Death would be easy," he said softly. "Living with change, that's the real challenge." His hand shot out faster than thought, injecting something into Molly's neck. "Enjoy the gift of evolution," he whispered as she collapsed. "Your people's salvation, freely given, because that's what monsters do." The fortress shook as secondary explosions began. Dante stumbled, his injuries finally showing. "Dante!" Aelina caught him as he fell. "Just need a minute." He coughed blood. "Or 10. We don't have 10. "Then carry me, little hunter." His smile was red-stained but real. "Consider it practice for parenthood." She lifted him easily, her enhanced strength amplified by desperation. They escaped through burning corridors, past battles between old guards and new allies. Behind them, the fortress began to collapse, taking the council's power with it. But Dante's gift survived, spreading through the Farian population, stabilizing their genetic code without destroying what made them unique. Evolution guided, not controlled. 2 years later, the abandoned city had transformed. Where ruins once stood, gardens now grew. Hybrid architecture, part human ingenuity, part Farian crystal, rose against the clearing skies. A sanctuary for those who chose to evolve. Aelina stood on a balcony, watching their daughter practice below. At 6 months old, Aurora looked like a human child wrapped in starlight, blue-tinted skin glowing softly, dark hair shot through with silver. Her movements already showed traces of both bloodlines' deadly grace. "Teaching her to hunt already?" Dante's voice carried from behind, still holding that edge that made lesser beings tremble. Even wounded and healing, he moved like a predator. "Teaching her to protect," Aelina corrected, "like her father." He wrapped his arms around her and she felt his smile against her neck. "And hunt like her mother." Below, Aurora demonstrated perfect form with a training bow, her small face set in concentration. Other children, human, Farian, and the growing number of hybrids, watched in awe. The council supporters are getting desperate, Alina said. 3 attacks this month. Let them come. Dante's voice held that dangerous warmth she'd grown to love. They'll learn what we learned. Evolution doesn't ask permission. Aurora looked up then, waving at her parents. Her smile could light up the wasteland. She's perfect, Alina whispered. No. Dante turned her to face him, his gray eyes soft but intense. She's better than perfect. She's free. Movement at the sanctuary's perimeter caught their attention. A group of refugees approached, mixed human and Farian, drawn by rumors of a place where both species could coexist. Looks like we have guests, Dante said, that predatory smile spreading across his face. Shall we go hunting, little hunter? Alina matched his smile with her own. Lead the way, my dangerous human. They moved together toward the gates, perfectly synchronized. Behind them, Aurora knocked another arrow, her form mirroring her father's legendary precision. Above them, the sky continued to clear, revealing stars that had been hidden for decades. The hunt had changed. The hunters had evolved. And in the ruins of the old world, something new and wonderful had begun to grow. You know, Dante said as they approached the gates, for someone who was supposed to kill me, you did a terrible job. For someone who was supposed to be just prey, Alina countered, you were entirely too interesting. His laugh echoed across their sanctuary, the sound of a predator at peace, of a legend who had found something better than perfection. They reached the gates together, ready to welcome new survivors into their growing community, ready to show the world that sometimes the most beautiful things grow from impossible beginnings, ready to keep hunting, not for food or power, but for hope. The end.